What's the creepiest thing you found that was about you? I was house sitting for my aunt while she was traveling abroad for 3 months, and I needed a place to stay after graduating college. Her house was this old Victorian with too many rooms and creaky floors, but the rent was free, so I couldn't complain. One night, during a thunderstorm, the power went out, and I was searching for candles in the basement when I noticed a small door behind some shelves. It looked like it hadn't been opened in years, with cobwebs stretching across the handle. But curiosity got the better of me. Inside was a small room with stacks of journals dating back decades. I grabbed one at random and took it upstairs to read by candlelight just to pass the time. The journal was dated 1978, and as I flipped through it, I realized it belonged to my aunt. Most entries were mundane, until I reached October, when she started writing about dreams she was having about a child. She described the child in detail: a girl with heterochromia, one blue eye, one brown, and a small birthmark shaped like a crescent moon behind her right ear. My blood ran cold, because I have heterochromia and that exact birthmark. The entries continued describing how this child would come to her in dreams, saying, "I'm waiting to meet you," over and over. The final entry from that journal was dated November 15th and simply said, "She's coming." That was the exact date of my birth, 16 years later. I couldn't sleep that night and went back to the basement room the next morning, finding more journals. In one from 1994, my aunt wrote about babysitting me and how I'd pointed to a photo of her as a child and said, "That's when I knew you before." I kept reading through journals spanning decades and discovered my aunt had been documenting strange things I'd said growing up, things I had no memory of saying, like, "I picked you to be my aunt this time," and "Don't worry, I won't tell them I remember." I called my mom that night asking if Aunt Sarah had ever said anything strange about me, and there was a long pause before she said, "Sarah always said you chose her somehow." That night, I dreamed of standing in a long hallway with many doors and a voice behind me saying, "You're not supposed to know yet." I woke up to find all the journals I'd brought upstairs were back in the basement room, neatly arranged, but when I tried to open the door again, it was locked. I texted my aunt, asking about the room, and she immediately called me, sounding panicked. She made me promise not to go in there again and said she'd explain when she got home. That night, I found a small key under my pillow that I'd never seen before. It fit the door perfectly. Inside the room, everything was different. The journals were gone, replaced by a single book bound in dark leather. Inside were photographs of women throughout different time periods, all with heterochromia and all with the same birthmark as mine. The final page had a photograph of me as a child, but I had no memory of it being taken. Written beneath it were the words, "The vessel returns 2023, which is this year." That night, I dreamed of a woman with my eyes and my birthmark who held my face and whispered, "It's almost time to remember everything." When I woke up, I found a journal I'd never seen before on my nightstand, and when I opened it, I realized it was filled with my handwriting, but I had no memory of writing any of it. The entries detailed lives I supposedly lived, dating back centuries, always finding the same family, always being born to different branches but always returning. The final entry was in different handwriting and simply said, "When you read this, I'll be almost ready to come through." I looked in the mirror this morning, and for just a second, I swear someone else looked back. My aunt comes home tomorrow, and I'm terrified of what she'll tell me. Last night, I dreamed of standing in a nursery watching my aunt hold a baby with heterochromia, and I heard myself say, "I'll see you soon." The strangest part is I've started remembering things I couldn't possibly know about places I've never been and people I've never met, and sometimes when I'm alone, I catch myself whispering, "It won't be long now," in a voice that doesn't quite sound like mine. Subscribe.